This is Power Hour with Gabriella Power.
Hello and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Gabriella Power. I hope you all had an amazing 4th of July weekend. I've just returned back home to Australia from one of the greatest countries on earth, the US of A, and it was so wonderful to be back spending time in America, the land of the free, a country with so many opportunities and some of the friendliest people you could ever meet. And I felt so grateful to be over there, especially for the 4th of July weekend, seeing so many patriots who are proud of their country, waving the American flag, celebrating with their families, honouring America and all of those who have fought so hard to protect it for generations. And I had to take a moment to reflect on how incredible this moment in time really is, where we have President Donald Trump fiercely leading America, putting America first. The cover of the New York Post for the 4th of July reads, "Tired of winning yet?" Because that is what Donald Trump is doing right now. In the space of just a couple of weeks, he obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. He signed into law his big, beautiful bill. Unemployment numbers are down and wages are up. And America is so back. Let's get into the spirit of it. This has to be the best 4th of July video going viral.
I just want to tell you that America is the greatest place on earth.
How's the energy? There is no place like the United States of America. And Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump celebrated Independence Day at the White House. Trump posted a special thank you to the heroic ICE officers fighting for sovereignty and freedom. But this has to be my favourite moment, the First Lady busting out Trump's signature dance moves before watching the fireworks. How great is that? We love to see it, Melania. So let's just take a look at how proud Americans are feeling right now. A recent Fox News poll found that the largest number of voters since 2011 are proud of their country, and almost 70% of people agree that the US is the best country in the world to live. But it's interesting. A poll obtained by the New York Post shows that there's a big difference when it comes to Republicans and Democrats. This poll by National Research Inc. found that 91% of self-identified Republicans call themselves patriots. That's compared to just 50% of Democrats. 50%. Not sure if that is surprising, because there were, of course, a few miserable Liberals refusing to wish America a happy birthday this past weekend. And these are the people who voted for Kamala Harris. And her 4th of July message was ridiculous. She posted a photo from last year where she cropped out Joe Biden, and her message reads, "Things are hard right now. They're probably going to get worse before they get better." I mean, wow, what an inspiring message for Independence Day. It's funny though, she's getting absolutely roasted for this online, and some of my favourite comments have to be, "I'm taking a moment to reflect on how much worse things would have been if you'd won, and things are actually better now. We have a president," which is very true. But we have a massive show coming up for you today. Let's get straight into it. Joining us now is Hilary Fordwich, President and founder of Strelmark. Hilary, great to see you. Let's start with Elon Musk. He's announced the creation of the America Party, aiming to shake up America's two-party system. And he's indicated the party will stand for free speech and reduced regulations. Donald Trump has blasted the tech billionaire, saying that Elon has gone off the rails. He wrote on Truth Social, "I'm saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. And we have enough of that with the radical left Democrats, who have lost their confidence and their minds." He also had this to say to reporters.
Reaction to Elon Musk starting a third party.
I think it's ridiculous to start a third party. We have a tremendous success with the Republican Party. The Democrats have lost their way, but it's always been a two-party system. And I think starting a third party just adds to confusion. It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked. So he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
Hillary, what do you make of this? Has Elon gone off the rails? And what are his chances of succeeding, really?
Well, pleasure to be back with you again, Gabriella. Yes, the word I thought of immediately was that this is just divisive, more divisive in the US. It's a very polarized nation as it is. And I think that President Trump is totally right. A third party has never worked in the US. In 1992, Ross Perot basically was a spoiler and handed the election to President Clinton at the time with only a 2-point margin. And that, of course, probably would have gone to the then Republican Bush. So it's only ever been disruptive and it's been divisive. And with regard to Elon Musk, I also do think he should really do far better by his companies. Tesla's stock is not well. The shipments have gone down, and the boards of directors of both Tesla and its other firms have actually said, Gabriella, they want him to pay more attention to them. I mean, think about SpaceX. That is not doing well either. He needs to dedicate to his businesses.
Yeah, I think he was doing well with what he was attempting to do with Doge, but it's time that he gets back to his businesses now. Now, Trump has signed his $3.3 trillion big, beautiful bill. This, of course, includes tax cuts. It allocates hundreds of billions of dollars for defence and for mass deportations to be carried out. It rolls back green energy tax credits and includes Medicaid reforms. Let's just take a look. This was a big win for the president. Just how significant is this and what impact is it going to have?
Well, I think it is a big win. It is one of the biggest bills ever passed in American history. And despite what the doomsayer Democrats have been saying, this actually will be a huge contribution to reducing the deficit. The scoring, which is the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, they actually use something called static scoring, which is leaving things the way they were. Dynamic scoring is with all the reshoring, Gabriella, and all of the tax deductions and all the expensing for businesses and the tariffs, let alone all the deregulation, there will be such a huge generation of dollars from more tax receipts as well as manufacturing in the US. The estimation by static scoring is, of course, an increased deficit, as I mentioned, but dynamic scoring, it is that it will be at least $2 billion reduction to the deficit. Now, Elon Musk, my last point, links the two stories together, which is it actually eliminates all the EV mandates. And Elon Musk was not very happy, despite him being for all the Doge, about all the that he has received. He is not happy that those have been terminated. So I think that's part of the reason that he's running. And I think this big, beautiful bill isn't perfect, Gabriella, but it is one of the best things we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Now, while I was away, socialist Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic New York City mayoral primary, and he's as radical as it gets. His track record includes calling to defund the police. He's clearly anti-Israel, sparking serious concerns for the Jewish community in New York if he is elected mayor. And his campaign policy document calls for shifting the city's tax burden onto richer and whiter neighbourhoods. Also, he doesn't believe in billionaires. Look at this.
You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
Hillary, what are your thoughts on Mamdani and what is going to happen to New York City if he wins?
Well, I do think that the realtors in Florida are happier than ever because New Yorkers are fleeing to Florida.
Absolutely.
Yes. Regarding New Yorkers, though, I think what is really tragic about this is that he comes from a very wealthy family. I think that there should be a national amendment to the Constitution in the United States, which is you cannot run for office unless you've built a business and or made payroll. I don't think he understands where money comes from. Margaret Thatcher was very famous for saying there's no such thing as a free lunch. I think he thinks that money must come out of the sky, because if billionaires aren't great people in all the taxes they pay 48% of the taxes. Once the billionaires leave and the millionaires leave, there's no one left to tax anymore. And last but not least, Margaret Thatcher also said the problem with socialism is you run out of spending other people's money.
Correct. And that is a lesson he should probably learn. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in Washington as we speak. He's just met with President Trump, and he handed Donald Trump a letter showing him that he has nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I want to get your thoughts on that in a moment. And leaders were also asked about how close a peace deal is between Israel and Hamas. And this is what Steve Witkoff had to say.
There was a security incident in northern Gaza today, right around the time that the Prime Minister was meeting with Secretary of State, Mr. Steve Witkoff. Does that, and a number of IDF soldiers reportedly have been injured, possibly killed, does that in any way put a wrinkle in ceasefire negotiations with Hamas?
I don't think so. They want it. They want to meet and they want to have that ceasefire. So I don't think so. Steve, could you respond to this? You know about it?
Well, I think it's terribly unfortunate. Terribly unfortunate. We were just talking about it, how tragic it is, but we have an opportunity to finally get a peace deal, Mr. Prime Minister, as we discussed, and I'm hopeful for it very quickly.
Hillary, I'd love to get your thoughts on Donald Trump being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but also your thoughts on Steve Witkoff's comments just now. Is this a turning point, do you think, in bringing the war in Gaza to an end?
Well, two things there, two questions. Yes, the first point with regard to the Nobel Peace Prize, actually, there are many who say, and I tend to agree, that he should have received it when he initiated the Abraham Accords during his first administration. So I think this is better late than never, I would say. And definitely he's done more for peace in the Middle East than any president that I can think of in any of our lifetimes. I'm certainly in a region that's seen thousands of years of infighting. So I think it's well-deserved and the right kind of timing. With regard to Steve Witkoff, he's also, by the way, just if I might make mention, been really great in terms of these negotiations. And I think there is a chance for a peace negotiation. I sure hope so, because I've been invited to a state dinner in Tel Aviv with Ambassador Huckabee and President Herzog in August, where we're Knesset site visit. So I'm hoping by then, yes. And I think that it's on the table. It's looking good as it's been in thousands of years.
Oh, Hillary, please keep us posted on that. Look, Donald Trump also took several questions from reporters, which is so refreshing when you compare him to Joe Biden that we had for years. But looking at him, watching that exchange between Donald Trump and the reporters during his meeting with Netanyahu, he also said that Iran has reached out for talks. Donald Trump also revealed that once again, he's not happy with Putin by refusing to end the war. And he said that the US will be sending more weapons to Ukraine.
Ukraine, Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard. Very sad. So many people are dying in that mess.
Hillary, this would be welcome news for Ukraine.
Yes, I think so. I'm resuming those weapon shipments. And I think President Trump is definitely a man of peace. And Gabriella, he's one of the few leaders that you ever hear always talking about, the sadness of the loss of lives. There's definition of war, which is when old men send young men to die. He's somebody who does not want to send young men or women to die. And I think that sadly, this is necessary. And as he made the point, he's very disappointed in Putin, as I think the whole world is. Can't see what Putin's final objectives are. He's not popular anywhere in the world.
Let's talk about tariffs. Donald Trump has threatened new tariffs on any nation supporting anti-American policies of the BRICS group. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that the US would impose an additional 10% tariff on any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS. Now, this is, of course, an alliance that comprises of 10 countries, including China, Russia and Iran. And Donald Trump has also sent tariff letters today to 12 countries. This includes Japan and South Korea that have been hit with a 25% tariff. And the letter also said if for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added onto the 25% that we charge. So Donald Trump has been keeping the world guessing with tariffs. We've spoken about this before, but what are your thoughts on this development?
Well, I think really, I mean, it's fascinating to me. I don't know who made all the former trade deals the US had historically, because they totally and utterly hollowed out American manufacturing and American jobs. I think that what he's talking about is fair and reciprocal across the world. And I do think it's going to rebalance global trade. I don't think this is to the detriment of other nations. Other nations need America more than the US needs them. And I think this is going to end up actually being beneficial across the globe, not just for the US. Why? Because everyone needs the US markets.
Before I let you go, Hillary, let's talk about the UK. The UK is set to lose more millionaires than any other country this year. Figures from advisory firm Henley and Partners predict that 16,500 millionaires will leave Britain in 2025. I mean, just how bad is this for the UK?
Well, it's terrible. It's ghastly. A millionaire leaves, yes, every 45 minutes. And one of the things I always say is they say history repeats itself. This is what happened before Margaret Thatcher came to power. Actually, it's when we emigrated to the United States. This has happened before. The UK used to be the sick man of Europe until she brought it back. I think it's ghastly and it's very, very sad. I think it's right at the very bottom of all the global migration statistics. And I do think that Keir Starmer, the recent poll was that only 61% disapprove of him. I wonder why it's so low.
Absolutely, that's right. This comes as Keir Starmer's approval rating hits an all-time low, with 61% of people thinking that he is doing a bad job. Hillary Fordwich, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Gabriella.
It's time for Media Meltdowns. Well, Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill passed this week, a bill that includes tax cuts and funding for ICE raids, a huge win for the president. So with that, spare a thought for the far-left lunatics, because as we know, there is nothing more triggering than when Donald Trump is winning. Here is axed MSNBC host Joy Reid losing it, going on an unhinged rant, yelling at the TV and into her phone.
Republicans cheering, destroying the poor in their own states. They're literally cheering for destroying poor people in their own states. This is repulsive. Y'all, creating a police state, ramping up ICE, turning it into the largest state police force in U.S. history, and gutting Medicaid in their own states. And they cheered and chanted USA. Freaking believable. Trying not to cuss. Unbelievable. Shame on them.
But since MSNBC fired Joy Reid at the start of the year, it hasn't stopped her from speaking out and pushing her anti-Trump agenda. She now has a YouTube channel, The Joy Reid Show, which she says is a place for people to get reliable information.
A lot of people are asking themselves, where can you even get good, reliable information to help you navigate this mess when your crazy high school friends are spreading disinformation online and in your text groups? People want trusted voices.
So what are we getting on her show? Well, her episodes include the crisis of democracy in America. Can someone please let her know that Trump's been in power for almost 6 months and democracy has not ended? And there's another episode labelled Trump's World War III. Again, can anyone let her know that Donald Trump is ending wars and not starting them? And he's just been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. But in a live video with Wahat Ali from The Left Hook, Joy Reid issues a warning that Donald Trump is in fact planning to stay in office until he dies.
He's not acting like somebody who's worried about the consequences of that. This is somebody who is behaving as an autocrat because they don't anymore believe. He said it during the election, I don't need your votes anymore. And he doesn't. I don't think Trump intends to leave office. I'm very clear about that. I think he intends to stay in office like Putin till he dies.
Of all the people in the world suffering from TDS, Joy Reid's case is severe and appears to somehow be getting worse. Joining us now is comedian and host of Prime Time with Alex Stein. Alex, it is great to see you. I have to get your reaction to Joy Reid's latest rant. Is it just me, or is her TDS getting worse?
You know, Joy Reid's Trump derangement syndrome might be the actual worst case. I mean, when it comes to the American media, like, she was so mad at Trump, she even adopted his hairstyle at one point. And now she just, sadly, I don't want to just comment on her appearance, but I think her appearance is kind of, it tells a much, louder story than she is with words. And she's not looking great. She's mad at the president because he's actually trying to fix this country. And she wants to protect the illegal immigrants, and she could care less about this country. So Joy Reid being this upset about Trump still, I'm not surprised. I don't think that she's going to change her tune for the next 3.5 years.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. And I know we like to have some fun, but we have to turn to the devastating situation in Texas. This is absolutely heartbreaking. More than 100 people have been killed, including dozens of children in the floods. And Alex, this is your home state. How are you feeling? How are many of you feeling at the moment? And what more can you tell us about what's been unfolding?
I mean, it is really bad, Gabriella. I'm a comedian. I like to joke around, but there's absolutely nothing funny about what happened here. And in Kerrville, Texas, and Hunt, Texas, where these kids at this Camp Mystic were swept away, and it was 27 people passed away at that camp. And I went to school with a guy by the name of Davin Hunt. His daughter was tragically taken away in this horrible tragedy. So I know people that are personally affected. And I'll tell you this much, I don't think it's the politicians' fault, but it is just very unusual to have this type of flooding, the first time and that this camp has ever had anything like this. So it's just a horrible, unfortunate situation that I don't think we can blame our politicians, obviously, but I mean, I just really don't know what to do when something happens that is just this unthinkable, like young children getting hurt. It just kind of makes you question, like, why would God do something like this? And I guess there's a bigger plan, but I feel really sorry for the families that are just really struggling, especially the Hunt family here in Dallas. I know that what they're going through is just something I don't even want to imagine for myself.
Alex, I'm so sorry. We are so heartbroken and sending you all so much love from here in Australia. It's been devastating to watch it unfold and the amount of people being killed. It's just hard to fathom. We know that Donald Trump will be visiting Texas on Friday. He had this to say a little earlier.
Mr. President, have you spoken with any of the families of the victims of Texas flood? And can you talk about what you would like to do when you travel there on Friday?
Well, we're going to just make it as comfortable as possible for the state of Texas. They have a great governor. They have wonderful senators. They have wonderful representatives, and we're going to work together with them. And we have been working really very hard. This whole table has been working. That was a terrible event, terrible event. You saw that maybe where Texas was just absolutely so badly hurt by something that was a big surprise late in the evening. So we'll be working with the governor and all of the people of Texas. We'll be going on Friday.
Alex, you mentioned that looking at this event, it's not really a time to blame politicians. Rosie O'Donnell has taken a different view. This is her message.
And when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already. Shame on him. Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS.
Alex, what do you make of Rosie O'Donnell?
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous to try to blame this on Donald Trump. I mean, if people want to say because there's budget cuts to the National Weather Service, that's just incorrect. That's fake news. I mean, they did have warnings about the weather, but in 90 minutes, it was a surge that they'd never seen. This camp had been there for, I believe, over 100 years, and nothing like this had ever happened. So it was just I don't know how to describe it other than the perfect storm that, no politician could have stopped. I mean, for her to blame the death of, I think it's over 80 people and 27 children at this camp on Donald Trump, just shows you that Rosie O'Donnell's a sick person, and she doesn't really care. about those kids. She's just using it as some sort of a political tool to make her message against Donald Trump stronger. And it's sad that those kids have to be used like that by Rosie O'Donnell, who is just a disgusting person, in my opinion.
Alex, the mainstream media is also blaming Donald Trump and climate change. Here is CNN's coverage of the disaster.
How much do you think the changing climate is part of what we are seeing go on here? Not just what we're seeing in the pictures that we're showing on the screen, but even the flood that you talked about in San Antonio in June.
I think climate change is obviously a part of it. These floods are happening more often in more parts of the country and really all over the world. And so we have to face that reality and be better prepared for it and combat it.
It seems the problem might have been the lack of a flood warning system. The Weather Service has clarified that it had extra staff on duty during the storm, and Homeland Security has had to call out the media for lying. It posted, the mainstream media is deliberately lying about the events leading up to the catastrophic flooding in Texas. The National Weather Service executed timely, precise forecasting and warnings despite unprecedented rainfall overwhelming the region. Alex, are you surprised to see the mainstream media going straight to blaming Donald Trump and, of course, climate change for this?
Well, I'm not surprised whatsoever. And, it's obvious that humans have an effect on the climate. But one thing that we're not talking about is how there are companies now that are openly modifying the weather. There's cloud seeding technology. So, of course, humans have an effect on the climate. But I wonder how much that effect that we're doing that we don't even know about, because it's, like I said, it's just unprecedented storm to have this sort of flooding, and it's never happened in, I believe, the 100-year history of the camp. So something weird is going on. We are affecting the weather, but I just wonder how much of that effect is done on purpose and how much of it is done just by the byproduct of human beings living on Earth. So there's a lot of unanswered questions. I don't think that the government's going to be able to really, take the blame for this, because I don't think it is their fault. I don't think it's a National Weather Service. I think it's just a really unfortunate incident where sadly, these girls' lives were lost because there was a horrible tragedy due to a weather disaster that no human being could stop.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely heartbreaking. Let's talk about Karen Bass. ICE agents have carried out immigration raids in LA, and Karen Bass went to the scene to protest against them. Here she is making a complete fool of herself.
I am going to say, Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing. Okay. All right. Mayor Bass. Mayor Bass. Oh my God. Any comment, Mayor Bass? Thank you. Mayor Bass, any comment? Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Who did you speak with?
Just wait and see.
Mayor Bass,
they will be leaving soon.
Mayor Bass, who did you speak with on the phone just now? Who did you speak with on the phone?
The head of customs.
Wow.
Alex, this comes after ICE agents have been shot at, they've been targeted, and Karen Bass, she's clearly on the side of illegals.
100%. And if you look at what Donald Trump is doing, he actually wants to help out a lot of the people that have been here for a long time. I mean, Donald Trump is not this evil person that the left is trying to make him out to be, or Karen Bass is trying to make him out to be. I think he's actually being critiqued by a lot of people on the right for not being tough enough on immigration. So Donald Trump's not going to be able to make the right 100% happy. He's not going to be able to make the left 100% happy. But what he needs to focus on is getting out these violent criminals that are here in our country. Now, if you're a person that's lived here for 20 years and you're not a criminal, I don't think that needs to be our priority. But here in America, our priority needs to be getting out all of the gangbangers and all of the people that use fake asylum to come to this country and take social services away from American citizens that are struggling. So Karen Bass trying to protect those people, there's no excuse for it. But the people that have been here and did, and lived their life, I think Donald Trump is going to try to work on a plan and, a way for them to actually stay. So let's just let time, play out, and we'll see how this immigration thing kind of works itself out. But right now, Karen Bass protecting criminals, it's just not a good look.
No, it's certainly not. Alex, the Department of Justice and the FBI says that pedophile Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and that there is no client list. This is raising a lot of eyebrows. Let's just look back at what Pam Bondi had to say earlier in the year.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Here is Caroline Levitt clarifying what Pam Bondi meant.
So the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, on Fox News.
I've got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars.
Alex, what's happened here? A lot of people are not buying this.
Yeah, nobody's buying it here in America. You have the left wing and the right wing yelling at Pam Bondi for some transparency. And sadly, we're not going to get it because I think that the people that are connected to the Jeffrey Epstein debacle are some high, powerful people that would cause geopolitical conflicts with other countries. And I think that's what it really comes down to, that it's now a matter of national security to keep this list private. And nobody on both sides agrees with that strategy. I mean, we all wanted transparency. Donald Trump campaigned on it, and now Pam Bondi is walking back what she said she was going to do. So I'm just telling you, even the most loyal Donald Trump supporters on social media are asking questions. Why are we not getting these answers when you said that they were going to give us? And we don't want to see victims. It's not that we want to try to expose any victims. We just want to expose the actors and the powerful people that were doing this on an island with children. So there's no excuse. And this is a big missed opportunity from the Trump administration for not giving us the transparency that so many Americans really want on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Well, Joe Biden is back. The former president claimed during a rare public appearance that he just keeps getting phone calls from office holders and European leaders asking for advice during the Trump era.
We strengthened NATO in a significant way. And I'm getting calls, I'm not going to go into it, I can't, from a number of European leaders asking me to get engaged. I'm not giving advice. These things are different.
Is he telling the truth right now, Alex?
You know what? Honestly, he's probably a little too senile to even make that up. I bet people are calling him because if you really look back, as much grief that we give Joe Biden, he's the only president to technically beat Donald Trump in an election. So in a way, he is kind of Donald Trump's kryptonite in this weird kind of accidental, he's like a guy that just keeps failing, but he fails upwards. But yes, if you really look at it on paper, Joe Biden's the only guy to ever beat Donald Trump in an election. So in that case, I wouldn't be surprised that other foreign countries are asking for advice. Will it help them at all? No, because he's probably just going to drool on himself and give him some, nonsensical answer. But I'm actually not surprised that people are reaching out to, former President Biden.
There you go. Alex Stein, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. And our hearts are with you during this difficult time in Texas, sending you all lots of love.
Thank you, Gabriella. Talk to you guys soon.
Joining us now is Angela Mollard, News Corp columnist for all the Royal News. Angela, great to see you.
Good to see you too.
King Charles has described how the 2005 London bombings showed the very best of humanity in the face of the very worst. As he marked the 20th anniversary of the attack, he also said in a message that his heartfelt thoughts and special prayers are with those whose lives were changed forever on that terrible summer's day. What more can you tell us about how the royal family marks the anniversary?
Yes, they're very aligned with the people that have suffered during this, and they talk a lot about community. Prince William was also there yesterday. He was laying a wreath. I think the fact that the royals come out to these anniversaries, that shows the community how much it meant. As someone who was in London during that attack, it was a horrifying time to be there. It was just 52 people died. As we know, so many more were injured. And yes, time passes, but it doesn't mean that the horror of a terrorist attack like that has that impact for decades following. And to have members of the royal family really acknowledge that, not just with a message, but to turn up. The King, of course, also laid a wreath. And then beautifully, 52,000 white petals fell from the ceiling at that commemorative meeting, and I just think it's so important. This is where the royals can really lend a heart and a hand.
Absolutely. Now, King Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales will welcome the President of France. I understand there's going to be a carriage procession through the streets of Windsor. What else can we expect?
That's right. It's a 3-day visit. They'll be met by the Prince and Princess of Wales at RAF Northolt tomorrow. So that'll be great. We'll see Kate out there again. Look, interesting because, of course, this tense relationship for, hundreds of years between the French and the English, but they call it the entente cordiale, the fact that this is this cordial relationship between the Macrons and the King and Queen. I love the fact that Brigitte Macron, instead of being called Madame Macron when she is going to be in England, she's going to be called Mrs. Macron. She's very much getting on board with the, English language there rather than the French. But in fact, King Charles does speak fluent French. So it's a very, it's a close relationship, this one. There'll be, as you say, a carriage ride. There's also, interestingly, they show each other the gifts that each other have given in the past. So a carriage that was given by a former French king to the monarchy, and then the horse that Macron himself gifted to the Queen for her Platinum Jubilee in 2022. He's going to catch up with the horse. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of them. They won't be talking about, of course, le slap, the slap that Brigitte Macron gave to her husband. That will not be a subject of conversation, I don't think.
Oh,
well, certainly not in front of everybody.
No, well, we talked about it here on Power Hour. That was unbelievable. Now, there's been some controversy over the decision by Norwegian Princess Ingrid Alexandra to enrol at Sydney University. What's happened here?
I love this story. There's a young European princess. She's chosen to come to Sydney. She loves surfing. She's going to study for a Bachelor of Arts in Sydney. But the Norwegians have lost their minds about it. They've made smart, crude remarks about it being a penal colony, the fact that, she's going, back here like a prisoner, the fact that she won't be there to do royal duties for 3 years during her degree. And the complaints have been such that her father, the king, has actually had to come out and say, this will be good for the monarchy because she'll get some life experience and she'll come back and she'll be even more valuable to us. But it shows how backwards they can be sometimes.
That's hilarious. No, we're very much looking forward to having Ingrid Alexandra. It's exciting for us here in Sydney. Now, Meghan Markle, she's posted once again in honour of a 4th of July. She posted a video of how she was celebrating, and that includes assembling food with the colours of the American flag to her Instagram account. Angela, what do you make of this? She's really loving this kind of food blog, Instagram influencer era of hers, don't you think?
She has fully moved on from princess to influencer in my book. She's a cut-price Gwyneth Paltrow, I think. And look, it's lovely that she celebrates this national day. And in fact, she went on to show the cupcakes that Harry had given her on their second date. So the second date they had was the 4th of July. He brought cupcakes for her. There was a picture from that day. She continues the traditions with the cupcakes, with her own children decorating them. It's just that it doesn't land, does it? Unfortunately, they're really tone deaf on these sorts of things. Look, I think talking about things that matter. She's moving so far now into this very light, she's a humanitarian of old. She wanted to make a difference in the world. She was offered the Commonwealth, she and Harry, by the Queen, to lead the Commonwealth in terms of the royals and their positioning with it. And to have put aside that, to be showing off cupcakes, it just feels like she's really missed an opportunity. And they've missed an opportunity as a couple to have had that gravitas in the world.
Absolutely. And it's such a good point. The cupcakes, she just keeps bringing up, it was our second date. We know the story. We were there. Yeah. We lived through it. We don't care about the cupcakes, but she's still going to keep posting about it. But this comes as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have reportedly let go of several staff members, including their PR team. And this is apparently in an effort to save some money. What do you make of their decision to let go of their PR team?
I think the one team they don't need to let go of is their PR team. In fact, I'm hoping they rehire some people of significance to do that role. There's a lot of talk in America that this is because they actually can't afford them. We know they have a long history of not being able to keep staff, but the fact they can't afford them, their Netflix deal is supposed to expire this year. They pay huge taxes on their property. They pay $3 million Australian dollars a year for security. You have to wonder actually whether they can afford their life, because you might sell a few jams, but they keep running out of stock. So that she's not making huge amounts of money through that. We have to ask what Harry's making money from. Of course, he has the money from his late mother, but that's an inheritance. It's not a replenishing amount. So where are they going to, I'd love to see the inside workings of their finances, because, it's not like they're aligned to the royal family and they have the benefits of that. So, it'd be interesting to see where they go with their PR team from here on in. But I'm looking for a good hire, a good British hire, actually.
telling them maybe to keep quiet, that would be nice.
Exactly.
Angela Moller, thank you so much.
Thanks.
And that is Power Hour. Thank you for your company. Make sure you subscribe to Sky News Australia on YouTube.